we've walked through and then practiced tonight, and then we've got the same schedule tomorrow, and we got scrimmage tomorrow evening, which is as we've gone away from just general plays to more situational stuff for the young guys that are in the program now, trying to make our team a smarter team by more situations, red zone, some goal line stuff, some end of game stuff, playing actually a end of game scenario with a couple different, with our 1s and 2s, and then obviously some 2-minute, which people have seen on some video. So trying to put our players in as many situations as they can now that we've really kind of come through installation as far as general installation, and then next week starting to move more towards preparing for our opponents.
With game prep coming up soon, how close are you to naming a quarterback?
Oh, we'll somebody will run out there against UCLA. We'll just because we've done it in the past. Around this time, this is just a different schedule, and so we'll figure it out. I think we've got a pretty good idea of where we're at right now, and when the time's right, we'll do that.
And I guess the rest of the depth chart, or you're too deep, you travel guys. Next week you'll start to, I assume.
Yeah, like I said, right now we've got a pretty good feel for that. I want to give these guys another real open scrimmage tomorrow to really, get everybody off the field, get into Kyle Field. We've really had, this will be the fourth. We had 100 the other night. Last Sunday we went 126 plays, so that was a big one, which is a lot. And then Thursday night we had 59 or 60, about half of that. And the last Thursday we were up around 70. So I would anticipate tomorrow night being somewhere in between it won't be 120 something, but it won't be 60. It'll give us the last real evaluation of guys from what they've learned and from installation and how they're playing, and then next week start to move on to, really, the 65, 70 guys that are going to be traveling. Got to get that solidified for special teams and Coach Banks for some of these young guys who are doing a heck of a job that, might be in the 2 deep, may not be. The young safeties have done a good job. The young corners have done a good job. Those guys are guys that, can really, really help us on special teams too. So we're kind of narrowing that down and then putting them in the positions. Don't want them in a lot of different things where they're thinking too much, but we've got to be able to utilize the Renfros and guys like that have really shown, that they can play at this level.
Before camp started, you mentioned kind of maybe changing things up a little bit as you guys try to last toward the end of the season.
Right.
From the changes you've made to camp, have you been able to see some effects from that so far?
Sam, it's like I told you, we won't know until later on. We've been pretty good at the beginning, so you don't want to completely throw everything out. But I think some of the things that we have done, not just for camp, but also from January on, there have been more than subtle changes. There have been changes. I think, I've even heard the players comment to you guys about them. Practice times, what we're doing in the day, recovery, how we're approaching it, when we're meeting, what we're doing, education on sleep, hydration has been a big deal, and just a lot of different things from. More so than just what time we're practicing, but I think that helps too. We get out there at 4 o'clock here, and this part of the country is the hottest part of the day, and there's a big difference between 4 and 6 when we start, and so, and there's a bigger difference at 7:30, and it's what was it, 105 today, heat index at 4. I went out there at 4 o'clock just to make sure, and it might be a mindset thing, but. I want everybody to check it at 4 o'clock. We got out there at 6. It's a significant difference. And somewhere around 7 o'clock, we get that south breeze going. So as they start to get tired during practice, which is what's going to happen, it's getting cooler. And to answer your question, we'll see down the road. But we're doing it's more than just strength and conditioning. It's more than just it's nutrition. It's everything to try to keep our guys and then keep our guys playing throughout the year at that level. And it's also depth, and that's where we're talking about. You know, we've got to figure out, and we really have a good idea right now, but who those guys are going to be, who those backups are, and what the plan is to rotate them and live with it. And instead of just, you know, Armani playing 70 plays a game, you know, and then we look up, you know, if he can get back to 50, you know, and we get some snaps out of that second group, you know, and have confidence in putting them in there. That's always a coach's deal. You know, you take your best guy out, you know, you put a young guy in there, and you're always nervous, but you got to do that, because a game, you know, 8, 9, 10, you know, he's played 5,000 plays. If he's playing 50 snaps a game, if he's game 10, if he's playing 70, that's 70. You know, it just adds up.
Kevin, how pleased have you been with the development of the linebacker?
I think, you know, OT has done a nice job. He's been real solid. I think Terrell Dotson has really made a step. I think people have seen that physically. He played really well Thursday night. He is one of the hard things about that is, you know, playing that position is, you know, you got to get people lined up too. You know, and when you're young, just playing is enough. You know, it's hard enough to worry about everybody else. You know, you're worried about what you're doing. So he's more comfortable. He's carrying his weight better. I think he's running really well. You know, and OT right now is playing well, which is, you know, I think that's his natural position. So I think you've got two natural guys right there. That is one natural Mike and one natural Will. And then, you know, we've looked at if something we're going on with Terrell, then Alaka goes to Mike, and then Anthony Hines is on the field at Will. So that's kind of what we've been dealing with right there inside. And then, you know, if we do have a 3 linebacker look, you know, and Sam, you know, Buddy Johnson has really had a good camp. Here's another guy that's going to be, you know, a special teams guy, but he's 220-some pounds now, 222 today, and you know but he's still running like he was the video in high school at 195 when he's playing quarterback and free safety. But he's a really gifted guy that's really is going to add to, you know, the linebacking situation. Maybe if we have to have a 3rd linebacker in there. But, you know, with what we're doing right now, from a nickel standpoint, or you know how that looks with Donovan Wilson either playing safety or being a nickel or dime. Howard, our last signee, has come in and done a nice job at the nickel. You know, we still got Lefty there too. So we've got some moving pieces and some good players and that can play that nickel position and that are physical players. And, you know, whereas, you know, or to play a freshman Sam linebacker. So we're balancing that out right now.
Does Hines play Sam much? Could he play on the outside?
We're not. It's just a lot. You know, with these young guys, you know, you can overwhelm them. Anthony's best thing is that, you know, see ball, hit ball. That's what, you know. So the less we tell him right now, the better we are. And that's probably my fault. It's just put him there, and, you know, that can give us a rotation in there with 3 guys. But putting him in a position where he can play one, if Terrell's got to get OT out of the game, and then if we got to get Anthony out right now, moving Alaka back inside. So that gives us some flexibility.
In what ways have you seen Daniel Camera improve with a season and off-season under his belt?
You know, he's a stronger guy. He's bigger. You look at him out there right now. Shoot, I don't know, what is he, 230 something? He's a big dude. So he's got more confidence. He's got a pretty strong leg. You know, he made in the other night he made, you know, a couple 3. You know, he's in the 50s. You know, we don't want him to be there, but, you know, kicking out that far. But I think he's it's like anything else. He's worked real hard at his body and his flexibility, and he's gotten better. And, you know, I think he'll be in his career, he'll be one thing that we really haven't had to worry about since I've been here have been the kickers and punters. Jeff Banks has done a fantastic job with those guys, and they've improved every year. So I look for Daniel to get better.
When you first sized him up, did you say 6'4" guys can't be kickers? I mean, it seems kind of unusual.
Yeah, but he was, there's more and more of those guys out there right now. They're just like every other position. They're getting bigger and bigger all the time. So, but his weight now and everything else, his strength he's pretty proportional now, and he's just growing up. He's just maturing physically and mentally, And at that position, you got to have both of them. If you're not ready mentally, it'll eat you up, and if you're not ready physically. So he's grown through that. Like I said, Jeff Banks does a great job with our guys, and I look for him to continue to get better.
Can you talk a little bit about Dunning getting split down to?
Yeah, that's another thing. In moving him to defensive end, and really kind of a drop rush kind of guy on the edge. Justin's really happy about it. I think the first day, the hardest part was getting him in a 3-point stance, and I asked him, you take things for granted. I don't think he's ever been in a 3-point stance at any time in his life, So he's 240-some pounds now, and so Terry Price is doing a great job with him and working extra with him. He's got our group of guys up there, and the young guys. Tyree Johnson's doing a good job. He's bigger than he was. Tyree's 265. So he's more of a strong side end even for a freshman. But TP is really doing a nice job of working individually. Before, maybe a little bit after practice with Justin and Michael Clemens. So there's two guys, and Michael Clemens stood up the whole time. So, the first week, this sounds crazy, but we had to get them in a stance. But as good athletes as they are, I don't care if they stand up or put their hand down. We're going to need those guys to play because they're tremendous athletes. They got, they're long, they're athletic, and they're working really hard at it.
Is Dunning a special ops guy at this point, or could he potentially grow into a starter for you?
I don't know. He's playing. He's in the rotation right now.
Yeah.
So in different packages, he could be a stand-up rush guy too. So he made some plays the other night, and as he gets comfortable, you forget what kind of athlete he is. He was a drop guy, and he covered a wheel route from the running back from just standing off the edge and just ran stride for stride down. And I said, wow, I forgot about that. I mean, it's pretty good looking, 240-some pounds running down the sideline with the running back and playing man-to-man defense. So he gives us some flexibility, and so we'll see.
Kevin, Josh Rosen, who you guys are facing, got some attention last week for some things he said about just kind of applying to college football and social issues. What is your feeling on your guys speaking on social issues or things related to player welfare, things like that?
Well, first of all, you know how I feel about Josh Rosen. That's in first place. Before anything he said, I think he's one of the best players in the country, based on what he did out here on Kyle Field last year. He's smart. He's got great arm talent, but he's also tough. And the more we hit him, the better he got in the fourth quarter. So, I don't get caught up in that. I don't think many people do. When they kick that ball off, nobody's going to be talking about that. Yeah, our rule here is abuse a privilege, lose a privilege. Things that are, but also this is America, and you have freedom of speech and what you do. I think we do a nice job here of educating our players. And I know you guys give me a hard time. That's why those freshmen aren't out here to talk to you. I owe it to them, and I owe it to their families, so that once it's on here, it's on there forever, and it's hard to take that back. And so there's more than just sports fans that are reading or seeing them. There's people that can give them jobs later on. I've had a number of guys that have done interviews with you that we've gotten calls, and they like the guy. He's articulate, and that's part of our job. So during that time, and And during this time, we have a bunch of different speakers that come in. Rachel Brobo is going to be here Tuesday, and anybody who knows what she talks about, you know, that's going to be a big deal to get in front of our guys and talk about, you know, treatment of women and respect and how to behave. And we got an action-packed week this week. We got Rachel on Tuesday, and then we got Andre Ward coming Thursday. That's a little bit different, huh? But Andre's going to come and talk a little bit. And so, you know, hopefully the things that we're talking about, besides social media training, the things that we put in there, you know, our guys have basically done a good job with it. And then, you know, we talk about that kind of stuff. And I think that's the only way you can approach it.
Along those lines, how proud are you of Texas A&M? I remember last year at Kyle Field, your guys kind of had a real show of unity, you know, during that rally. And Texas A&M the past week was in the national news
right.
for kind of standing up and saying this is no place for idiocy.
Right.
How proud are you of A&M?
Really proud of that. I think, you know, it's without a doubt, you know, I was thankful and very, very proud of Chancellor Sharp and our president to you know, put an end to it. And that's the only way I can put it, you know, without just going in depth about it. But when, you know, leadership like that, you know, that's when leadership comes to the front, and our leadership did that. And we've talked about that as a team too. And, you know, our appreciation for our leadership to step in this situation, you know, is big. And it's big from the players, it's big from our coaching staff, it's big from everybody.